In this video, I'm going to talk about how to make your Flourish visualizations as sort of mobile and small screen friendly as possible. The main thing to know is that Flourish visualizations are all responsive. So if I change the size of this window, it will be responsive. But there are a couple of tricks that you should know about how to make them as responsive and sort of friendly for smaller screens especially as possible. So the first thing I actually just previewed just now is these buttons over here in the top left corner. They are buttons that let you preview your visualization at different widths. So this first one shows you the available width in this window. And then there are also the typical tablet and typical mobile phone width. So you can click through these to see what your visualization will look like at different widths. You can see how the text is sort of moved around. It's now split over 2 lines versus 1, the first 2. And then this last button here is also one that lets you preview it at a custom size. So if you have sort of an Android phone or something like that, or some specific size that you'd like to look at, you can always do that. I don't know, 200 by 200 or something. So the other thing to know is that there are a couple of things which people do and to make their visualizations when they're using this view that then makes them not very mobile friendly. So I'm going to go through a couple of those. The first is adding really long labels, which will end up getting cut off on your mobile width. So if I made these labels are now sort of short so that they fit on the screen, but if I increase the text size a bit and then made this, instead of UK, United Kingdom, made this European Union, and made this North and South America, and I went back here, you can see they're cut off. Depending on the size of the screen, they might not be cut off in a smaller screen, on a bigger screen, but then if I go to this mobile width, they're definitely cut off. Something that people often do to fix this issue is make the margins bigger on the left, to give more room for these labels to be seen on the bigger screen. So if I made this left one 50 instead, or maybe 90, you can see now that there's enough room here on the left for the labels. But now if I go to the mobile width, it really squashes the chart over here. And if I did this even more, if I had even longer labels, it's sort of laying the chart out in a weird way. So what you want to do is try to keep your margins as small as possible, especially on the left and right, and to keep your labels as short as possible so that you don't have to increase the margins. It's kind of a positive feedback loop. The other thing that you should know about is in this chart type setting here is these different height modes. It depends on how you're embedding the chart, but if you hover over this question mark, it will tell you a little bit more about that different height modes. I won't go through those now because you can read about them there. And then the last thing is to know about is the layout maximum width option, which lets you set a maximum width for the chart in any sort of context, and sometimes this helps with mobile and small screens as well, so that you make your chart at a smaller width and it's doesn't get so squashed down when it's on a mobile screen. So I hope that helps. This is something that is not very intuitive how to do in Flourish, and it's something that trips a lot of people up, not necessarily right when they make the visualization, but once they embed it on a web page and then look at it on a small screen, they're like, oh no, this is not what I wanted. So I think it's definitely worth going through, and thanks for listening.